This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. Topping our news tonight, it's a terrible consequence of the heroin epidemic sweeping across the Suncoast. Two different foster care organizations say the number of children needing homes has tripled over the last 2 years. Representatives from the Safe Children Coalition say they have seen more parents die from heroin overdoses in the last 2 months than in the last 2 years. Child removal rates are also nearly double the state average. Next week, the organization will host a town hall meeting along with informational sessions to help recruit foster parents.
At this point, if we can get one person interested, that's just one less child who has to stay in a shelter or a group home, but can go into a family home and to a family situation.
That town hall meeting will be held a week from today at Bradenton's Dream Center from 6 to 8 p.m. For more information, you can visit our website at mysuncoast.com. The Zika virus continues to spread in Florida. Now another case in our own backyard. Governor Rick Scott confirming a non-travel related case in nearby Pinellas County. There are 5 new cases from local mosquitoes being confirmed today, 4 in Miami-Dade and 1 in Pinellas. Door-to-door outreach and sampling is now being done to monitor for the virus. Pinellas County Mosquito Control will also begin more aggressive spraying for mosquitoes. In total, 42 Floridians have been infected with Zika through local transmissions. Sarasota Bradenton International Airport is offering new incentives to get airlines to increase nonstop flights to the Suncoast. The airport is waiving terminal fees for airlines, adding nonstop routes for 2 years. Those that make current routes nonstop will enjoy a 1-year break. Airport officials say it is part of an effort to compete with Tampa, Fort Myers, and Punta Gorda.
As the growth of the ultra-low-cost carriers has continued, we're just seeing more and more of this aggressiveness from the competing airports, both in the region and in the country, of offering these types of incentives for air service.
The incentives were finalized this week, but no airlines have expressed interest at this time. The Manatee County Commission is finally moving forward with a plan to help revitalize the community of Rabonia. Commissioners approved a plan granting Rabonia eligibility for federal funding. The money would go to housing, drainage, and road improvements. Around 200 people live in Rabonia. Many of the plan changes, including the start of a neighborhood watch, are expected to take effect on October 1st. And Bob, some real heavy thunder boomers out there.
That's right. Severe thunderstorm warnings already have been issued for Pinellas County earlier, and a special weather watch and warning for Manatee County right now as a result of temperatures soaring to the upper 90s. 99 the high today at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. We see a return of moisture from an east to northeasterly wind flow, and yes, the sea breeze has kicked in. So we're back in the thick of things. Let's go to the maps to show you what's been going on. You can see from the radar picture the storm's been rather heavy into western portions of Manatee County right now. This is the cell that's really quite intense over northwest Bradenton, as well as Palmetto, heading out toward Terracea and Anna Maria. This is the cell that brought actually up to 57-mile-an-hour winds at MacDill Air Force Base just about an hour ago. So, yes, these storms have some potential to produce winds up to 40 to 50 miles an hour. You can see the progression toward the southwest at around 10 miles an hour. Parrish, you've had your fair share of rain, and now it's starting to move away from Palmetto, but still another shower behind that. The heavy lightning strikes have been rather intense, especially into western portions of Manatee County. The number of strikes there just in the last 10 minutes, 388 strikes, and you can see the rain heavy at 75th Street West all the way up to State Road 64, Manatee Avenue, spreading toward Anna Maria Island now, and some other showers to the east of Palmetto. Look at the rainfall rate, over 3 inches an hour. This is a torrential storm right now as far as heavy rain goes. There haven't been any flood advisories at this point. Just look out for some very gusty winds. And then other storms still developing up near Lakeland along Interstate 4. Currently at the airport, it's 88 degrees, and we have a storm in progress. Winds out of the west-southwest at 10. And the high today, as I mentioned, a record-breaking high, 99 degrees. The old mark, 96, set back in 1981. Well, here's another big story we're following is this tropical disturbance. The reconnaissance aircraft indicating they did not find any low-level circulation. So what this means is it's still a tropical wave at this point. Here's some of the forecast models as of last couple of hours. You can see it's going to be moving off to the northwest. Most of the models agree with that. And then it could even stall just before it reaches the southeastern portion of the state of Florida. Now, this is in 5 days, so there's a lot of variation here as to where it may be heading. And you can see some of the models kind of keep it just there by the Bahamas, while others take it across the southern portion of the state. For us, temperatures have cooled down somewhat, and we'll keep an eye on that tropical weather situation as we move through the next several days. We'll really know by Thursday as to what this may be doing. It still has to deal with some dry air. On top of that, the elevation of the mountains of Hispaniola could break it up a little bit more.
Nothing but good news there.
Right.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, school begins on the Suncoast, and there are now new requirements to help districts respond to bullying. Find out what's already being done in our local schools when we come back.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
Whether you're a homeowner looking for a professional installation or a contractor looking for top quality products, Sarasota Glass and Mirror can meet your every need.
For 42 years, Sarasota Glass and Mirror has been the area's premier supplier and installer of quality glass products for your home or business. As an authorized PGT WindGuard dealer, we know how to protect your home with everything from the PGT WindGuard impact-resistant windows and doors to shower enclosures and decorative mirrors. The Sarasota Glass and Mirror team has the knowledge to tackle any project.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
School has resumed across the Suncoast, and for some students that means fears about bullying. It's an age-old problem, but this year the Florida legislature updated a law requiring school officials to better monitor what is happening and update policies when needed. ABC 7's Kate Flexter has more.
For many, it's a time of excitement, but for victims of bullying, heading back to school can be difficult.
What happens is they don't want to go to school. They get up in the morning and say, I don't feel well, I'm sick.
1 in every 4 teens is bullied, and it can have some long-term effects for victims. A study that tracked more than 2,000 people from childhood to adulthood found that teenagers who were frequent targets of bullies were 3 times more likely than their peers to be depressed as adults. And other studies have linked bullying to low academic performance. That's why school board member John Colon says it's a top concern for Manatee County.
You can't learn if you're living in an environment of fear or harassment.
With that in mind, the Florida legislature signed into law a requirement that all schools have a bullying policy and procedure in place or risk losing state funding. Both Manatee County and Sarasota County have state-approved policies in place that clearly define what bullying looks like. But still, Supervisor of Student Services Debbie Jackalone says each case is different than the last.
It is open to interpretation. I think when we are dealing with a claim or a concern that relates to bullying, it's very important for us to understand that there are 2 sides to every story.
Especially with cyberbullying, when much of it goes on at home or behind closed doors.
It gives bullies a safe place to hide, like, oh, I could be big and bad, but I'm doing it behind a screen, through a keyboard.
Instead of combating bullying on a case-by-case basis, Jackalone says the best solution is educating people about the problem and creating larger cultural changes and a safe learning environment for students.
By providing students and teachers and parents in our community with an awareness and an ability to intervene, that ultimately we are preventing acts of bullying, against our students.
Kate Flexter, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
When we return, we'll speak with experts on bullying prevention from across the Suncoast. Our roundtable is next.
coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
Do you have what it takes to become a champion? The Sarasota YMCA Sharks swim team has been developing champions since 1961. Fall swim team tryouts for kids ages 6 through 18 are being held August 15th through the 18th and August 22nd to the 25th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Tryouts are held at the Evelyn Sadler Jones branch, YMCA's Selby Aquatic Center. For more information, visit sarasotaymca.org Sharks.
Supervisor of Student Services for the Sarasota County School District. Thank you all for being here today. You know, this is an age-old problem, and just in the news in the last couple of days was another story about a Staten Island boy in New York who took his own life and left a note saying that the staff at his private school didn't do anything to stop bullying. So this is always on the minds of kids and parents and school administrators. And the question is, the update to the existing Florida law requiring more monitoring and new policies, will that make bullying less frequent in your opinions?
Well, the update to the law just requires schools to have a process for receiving reports rather than reporting. So it's a small change in verbiage, but it really kind of focuses on, okay, what are you going to do once you do receive the report? So I don't think you're going to see a decrease in bullying behaviors necessarily, but you're hopefully going to see an increase in effective investigations by schools when they do receive reports of bullying. The one thing we've got to remember, though, is about 10% of bullying cases only are brought to the attention of adults. It's a clandestine behavior. So not as many. We need to get out there and make sure these things are reported more often, and then our processes can kick in.
Deborah, in terms of Sarasota County, how have you changed what you do in terms of handling these cases?
We've really worked very diligently with our administrators to make them aware of the legal definition of what bullying is, what it looks like, and how to respond to every case that is reported to them, whether there is a founded case of bullying or an unfounded case. We want every case to be investigated.
Has there been a change in how sensitive school officials are to these reports when they do come up?
We're hoping that in all of our schools that we treat every student, every situation with respect. We've been working really hard with positive behavior supports in terms of creating a culture of acceptance and respect for every student.
You know, Kurt, that story that I mentioned out in New York also raised the question in terms of what parents are seeing at home and whether or not they are aware that their kid is having problems and whether they react and respond adequately to that. Do you think the word is getting out there to parents that in terms of what to look for and how to respond?
Well, I was going to say, I think one of the things that I've seen here locally as well as nationally, our school districts doing a much better job in terms of educating parents and having those avenues to where kids can report. The old system of telling a kid that's bullied, just come to the office and report it, has kind of gone out the window. So schools are being more creative in involving ways for kids to text in their tips if they're being bullied, or email them into somebody at the school. So you're seeing more of that creativity. Thus, I think you're seeing more response from the school districts as well.
But what about education at home? Education in terms of parents, in terms of what to look for and how to handle it?
Yeah, I think parents are educating themselves because they understand the complexities. The news has done a great job in terms of bringing these cases out like we've seen in New York and elsewhere in the country. So I think parents are doing a better job of staying in touch with their students and making sure that they're in touch with the school districts and that the school districts have vehicles to address their child if they're victimized.
All right, what should we be making about this? According to a recent news story, Florida school suspension rates are actually at a 3-year low, according to the Department of Education. Students were suspended less frequently last year as opposed to the year before in terms of bullying type complaints. Is it because bullying is down, or there's been an effort to change the regulations in terms of out-of-school suspensions?
Difficult to say whether bullying is down or not. You have to, as a district, really survey your students, your parents, your teachers, and staff to find out what the rates are. And you've got to do that on an annual basis, and that can be cumbersome. But I'm hoping that it's a combination of that and an awareness that out-of-school suspension is not exactly an effective intervention for dealing with bullying, whether it's victims, whether it's perpetrators, whether it's bystanders, anybody. We need to have more effective interventions in place to be able to deal with this behavior rather than out-of-school suspension.
Well, what is the effective response to this when you have a child in a school who's accused of being a bully?
Well, I think one of the things that we're missing in our schools is the opportunity for prevention education. When you talk about the educational mandates that are placed in our schools by Tallahassee, it's all about academics. There's very little time to be able to teach children from each grade level as they move up, how to deal with conflict resolution. What do you do when you see another student being bullied? What do you do when it happens to you? And I think these opportunities for affective education, character education, they need to be put back into our schools. And we need to find the time to be able to do that.
Well, Deborah, if you're not going to remove the bully from the school, how do you effectively deal with them?
If you're not going to remove the bully from the school, how do you deal with them? I think, like you just said, we try to educate our students. We try to educate our parents. We try to educate our teachers. This is what it looks like, and encourage everybody to treat one another with respect and caring. And then when that situation arises, really work with the bully to find out what is going on and hopefully connect them with resources to help change that behavior.
Well, Kurt, you deal with these issues not only on the Suncoast, but all over the country. Have there been major changes in terms of how school districts deal with bullies in terms of how to deal with them in school or out of school, and how to deal with the children who are being targeted?
There are, and one of the most successful solutions that we've seen, and we utilize it here in Sarasota County as well, as our teen court program, where we actually have other students judge the actions of their own peers. And that's been a very effective program because it puts them actually in kind of a quasi-court environment to understand that the next step may actually be a real criminal court, because oftentimes some of these incidents lead to a criminal act. So keeping in mind that we are trying to reduce the suspensions, we're trying to reduce criminal arrests in school, but there's that fine line in between. At what point does the bullying become a crime? And so the teen courts is a program that's addressing that in not only this county, but other counties across the country.
That's incredible. And I know, since you're both with the public school system, this is a hard question to answer, but is there a difference in terms of the approach that public schools take on this issue and private schools?
I think public schools are held more accountable by legal mandates through the law. The Jeffrey Johnson Stand Up for All Students Act became law in 2008, and every single one of our 67 districts in the state of Florida have to have a model policy built on that law. So that's one of the few things that you can look at where the Florida legislators intervened in public education and done some good things. So that is what I would say probably puts public schools at an advantage over private schools who are not compelled to have those kind of policies.
And Deborah, again, you're with the public school system, but what is the situation at private schools in terms of, are they operating in terms of different rules and regulations, and they don't have to necessarily do what the public schools have to do?
I think, like Will just said, we're held to such high levels of accountability where there's a constant situation where there's checks and balances in place, and I don't know if those same checks and balances are in place for our private school sector.
And Kurt, you know, you deal also with law enforcement issues in the public schools. In an era of budget cuts and tight fiscal times, a lot of communities have had to scale back, you know, police officers who are involved with the schools. Has that had any impact in terms of the ability of law enforcement to actually be there as a presence?
Sure it is. I mean, we'd love to see every district utilize the school resource officer program to its maximum, but there are budget limitations in doing so. I think districts here in Florida have done a pretty good job of trying to work with those budgets and try to, you know, accomplish as much as they can utilizing law enforcement in the schools. I know both the sheriff in Manatee County and Sarasota County take school safety very serious. And as a result, I think we have a pretty robust school resource officer program, but we would like to see more across the country, absolutely.
And of course, in Sarasota, Manatee, all over the state, you know, kids wind up being in schools, not only with kids from their local neighborhood, but it's very diverse, and kids are coming from different kinds of neighborhoods, and I would imagine that in and of itself adds to the pressures in terms of how kids relate to each other.
It's about to get worse too with the new policies that are coming down as far as zone schools and assigned schools. You're going to be able to attend any school you want to attend beginning next year. So that problem is going to be compounded. But yeah, when you bring people together that haven't known each other since childhood, you're going to have obviously some learning curves and getting to know people, and you can have some strife. But also, I think a lot of the problems that we see arise out of the neighborhoods that kids live in. So there's a problem if you live in the same neighborhood as some students and some other students, and you have these personal problems that arise there, it invariably carries back into the school. So we actually probably see more situations that develop out of neighborhoods than we would from students who don't interact.
And we'll have to leave it there. Thank you all very much, Kurt, Skip, and Deborah, and thank you for being here.
They took that stress and that tension when I was particularly feeling very bad after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
Our goal is to not just get a satisfactory settlement on their case. We want them up on their feet, happy again. They've gotten their life back.
US Med has great news for anyone living with diabetes.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, US Med will ship a new glucose meter right to your home.
And shipping is free.
My new meter uses only a speck of blood, so it's less painful than my previous meter.
If you have Medicare, private insurance, or prescription drug coverage, you're covered with US Med. We're welcoming new patients, even if your current provider can't supply you anymore.
I don't even have to test on my fingers anymore. I can test on my hand or forearms, and it's more accurate than my old meter.
So call US Med today, and you'll have a choice of 2 great meters.
One that actually speaks your results, or a meter so small it fits on the bottle of strips.
Act now, and US Med will include a free prescription discount card. We'll also send you a free diabetes cookbook. This is your opportunity.
So call US Med today.
You'll be glad you did.
Just because someone grows older, does that mean they have to grow apart from their friends or from the things they love to do? With Right at Home, it doesn't. Right at Home's professional team thoughtfully selects caregivers to help with personal care, housekeeping, meals, and most of all, staying engaged in life.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you ready to go?
Oh, I sure am.
We can provide the right care right at home.
Don't miss the Weddings of Sarasota 16th Annual Wedding Show at the iconic Sarasota Municipal Auditorium on US 41, Sunday, August 28th from noon to 4 p.m. The runway show is on the stage at 3 p.m. Enjoy hors d'oeuvres and live entertainment. $2,000 in Weddings of Sarasota dollars will be given away after the runway show, but you must be present to win. Make sure to pre-register at weddingsofsarasota.com. Brides and grooms are free if registered by midnight, August 26th. Guests only $5. Weddings of Sarasota. Register today.
This November, Florida voters will once again have a choice over whether or not to legalize medical marijuana. Amendment 2 was defeated in 2014 despite receiving more than 57% of the vote. Now it's back on the ballot, and supporters say medical cannabis is an important form of alternative medicine, while opponents argue it is a stepping stone to recreational use. Here is what you have to say. Martin Tannenbaum writes, "My wife has Parkinson's. If I could ease her pain and make her comfortable, I'd probably buy it on the street." Gary Burns writes, "The only humane thing to do is to allow those who can benefit the ability and right to obtain and use it. If you vote no, I just hope that you do not have to reverse yourself when you finally realize it is what you need for relief from your medical issue." And Whitney Hughes writes, "It's not a big deal, people. You either partake or you don't. You either drink or you don't. Either shop online or you don't. My point is, it's just not a big deal." Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news7. And that is all the time we have for this evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alan Cohn. Have a good